evening and welcome to the Canadian Football Fanatics Weekly Show. Back at it again to talk some Canadian football. Week number 8, folks. 2 months into the season already, and we are back to talk some football once again. You guys know the drill. As always, on a Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, we're talking some Canadian football. As always, every week throughout the CFL season for the remainder of the year. So, everyone that's tuning us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube right now, appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. For those that are things are looking a little bit different, Blake isn't able to join us right away, I believe. Planning on maybe dropping by in a little bit, but we do have a guest co-host going to come and hang out for us here tonight on the show. And then, as always, we'll be joined by the man himself, Shane Ryan of 13th Man Sports, to do our CFL quick picks at the end of the night. So let's get into it and bring in our special co-host for the evening, filling in for our man Blake, Coach Phil. Coach Phil, thanks for joining us. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. How you doing, man?
Oh, I can't complain. Can't complain. Always a good time when we can talk some ball, especially when you're able to come join us as well. So, like I was mentioning, Blake's a little busy tonight. His little guy's, I believe, 7th birthday. So, shout out to Jack. Happy birthday, Jack. Hope you guys.
And nephew.
Coach reached out to Coach here, I believe yesterday, and as always, he was willing and able to and step up and I would imagine hit a homer tonight as we talk some ball. So, Coach, usually how we get going on the show here is we intro everybody and then we go with the 3 minute drill. So
Mm-hmm.
let's get into things. The 3 minute drill, Coach, is just a quick recap of last week's action across the CFL. So I'm gonna put on my little quick little timer here. We're gonna go with the 3 minute drill. I'm actually gonna make sure we are going live on Instagram. I see we have some viewers tuning in on YouTube already, so I appreciate you guys. For those that are tuning in already, I see actually our man Blake, nobody replacing you, buddy. I know you'll be able to hopefully drop by soon. I just wanted to have Coach on the show. Love talking some ball with him, and hopefully you're able to join us in a little bit, buddy. But I hope you're enjoying the birthday party. And as always, Brian, diehard Riders fan. I'm not too sure if maybe you're familiar with Brian, Coach. I actually don't know if we have him on social media or not, but I believe he's from Saskatchewan. Big Riders fan. Is a loyal listener. He's usually in the chat every week. So as you can see right here. Let's go, Phil. Can I get a go green
Go green,
from
baby.
Brian? He loves the Riders. And then, as always, our man Jay in the chat since the beginning. Appreciate you, Jay, so much. So, Coach, let's get into it. The 3 minute drill. Let's recap last week's action. And that started with the Ottawa Red Blacks getting a 20-14 victory over the Edmonton Elks in the Jarius Jackson, G. Roy Simon debut, if that's what you want to call it. Another unfortunate game for the Elks. I believe kicker Boris Beatty missing 3 field goals. Gives them maybe a 3-point game. I know you don't want to play the if, ands, or buts here on the show here, but if Beatty makes at least maybe 2 of those, it's a tie ball game, and anything can happen there late. We did see McLeod Bethel Thompson get some hits. Trey Ford getting sprinkled into the game throughout. So interested to see how the Elks move on from this one. They drop to 0-6 on the season, and Ottawa gets a victory. Going to the second game on Friday night, we had the Saskatchewan Rough Riders beating Winnipeg 19-9 in Saskatchewan. Another weird game offensively for Winnipeg, but Saskatchewan found a way to get it done, to get a victory. That's all that matters at the end of the day. When it comes time of October, November, when they're looking back, then no one's going to remember a 10-point win over Winnipeg. All it's going to remember is that win in the win column, and you move on to the next week. So Saskatchewan takes over first place in the Western Division. They move to 5-2 on the 5-1, excuse me, on the season. And the third game of last week, the Hamilton Tiger Cats got their first victory of the season over the Toronto Argonauts, 27-24. Looked like Toronto was about to make maybe a little bit of magic there after the Janarian Grant punt return touchdown, got things a little bit closer, but ultimately Toronto wasn't able to get it to take over to make the comeback victory. And last on the week, the Calgary Stampeders snuck past my BC Lions 25-24, giving a nice pivotal, crucial victory for them in the Western Division, sending the BC Lions into their bye week with a loss. And that will do it for the 3-minute drill, Coach. I'm going to swing it back to you and ask you, what's maybe one of the bigger things that stood out to you in last week's action?
I'd say it was Calgary matching BC's energy. That was something that I always love watching Calgary play BC because you're going to see the defense. Defense is going to hit them hard and heavy. But it's the offense. You never know what the offense is going to give you. Jake Mayer took care of the ball. He controlled the game well. Reggie Begelton in the red zone is a problem. Jalen Philpott with an unbelievable touchdown. They got the run game going. They matched, which I didn't think a lot of teams could match BC's energy, especially coming out the gate with their offense. But going into the bye week, they'll bounce back a week from now, and they'll be good to go. Ottawa and Edmonton to play each other 2 weeks in a row. It's something, but the difference being not having Chris Jones no more as head coach. I was expecting Edmonton to show a little more in the run game. I don't know what's going on this season with them not really turning the ball out when it comes to Kevin Brown, but it is what it is. Feed Geno Lewis the ball a little more. They were moving downfield. Now, as far as Boris Beatty missing field goals, you got to make them. You have to. It's just you expect more out of a vet like him to make those ones, but Lewis Ward made his too, and it's just what it is.
Yes, it is, Coach. So now we usually get into a little news and notes here segment, just kind of recapping anything, major news in the league, anything like that, updates. And of course, we actually got the news this afternoon that Cody Fajardo got placed on the 6-game injured list. Long time to be without your starting quarterback. Obviously, Montreal built themselves a little bit of a fall. That being said, Coach, what do you expect from the Montreal Alouettes led by Caleb Evans?
I'm expecting them to move things around in the playbook a little bit to play to Caleb's strengths. Caleb can't swing the ball around when he wants to, but he's got legs. You can designate some run plays for him. You also have Walter Fletcher back there, and you've got Antwi back there. You got some power, you got some speed. You get Walter involved in the passing game a little more too. I think Caleb will hold it down. I think they might drop a couple, but they'll still maintain their spot on top of the East.
I agree, Coach. I think a lot of people, especially our man Shane Ryan, Ottawa Red Blacks fan, his eyes perked up, I think, maybe for an opportunity, which there's definitely an opportunity here for one of those teams, Ottawa, Toronto. I know we both don't like to admit it, but even Hamilton to maybe even get back in there with their first victory. That being said, I tend to agree with you that I think Montreal is going to be able to, stay afloat with Caleb. They have a great roster around him. Obviously, it's not going to be to the quality of Cody Fajardo, who was at a MOP, caliber of play there before he got injured. I expect them to fall off a little bit. That being said, their defense is great. I expect them to hold them in a lot of ball games. And if Caleb's able to spread the ball around to those playmakers, I know Keon Julian Grant, I believe, is not going to play on. Is it tomorrow? That being said, they still have some playmakers on that offense. I think if you can feature the run as well, start running the ball a little bit more, not have to lean on Caleb to do everything. I think Montreal will be just fine. I expect them to maybe go somewhere around 500, even if they drop, 2-4, something like that. I don't think, the sky is falling in Montreal. I think Cody's able to get back right. I think they'll be in position to win the East again come October, come November. So be interested to see, and it's going to be a good game tomorrow night. I'm sure you're going to be pretty excited versus the Saskatchewan Montreal. We'll talk a little bit about that in a bit, and we'll also give our picks here later in the show, Coach. But we'll kind of go down the ladder here, and I'm curious, something we both talked about. We had you on the show a couple weeks ago, and we asked the question. It's been a while. We obviously saw the first game, the debut, if you want to call it that, of Jarius Jackson, Geroy Simon. So what were your thoughts? Obviously, we saw Geno Lewis, like you mentioned there, be featured a little bit more. It's been odd how they haven't seen, Kevin Brown be featured, kind of how they did a little bit last year, how they leaned on him. But I was watching your reaction to the Elks and Ottawa Red Blacks game. I saw at the end there when you're doing your little bit of a recap. You mentioned now maybe it's time to see Trey Ford, and 0-6. It's a new kind of regime there. Why not try to go with the guy that you drafted? Obviously, Giro is a part of it. It's a more Chris Jones thing, but why not go with this guy and try to see what you have for the future? Obviously, MBT's paid that way, and it's a little bit hard, but why not try to see what you have in Trey Ford? So, what are your thoughts in the first game and just how they can move forward from here?
The first thing I'll say to you about that is, how come Trey Ford always the guy that's won in the Chris Jones era, pretty much, he's won majority of the games for you. Why is he always being benched? Why is he always not getting the opportunity? He succeeded with Jarius Jackson running as OC. He's got them 4 wins last year when Taylor Cornelius wasn't the guy. The other guy, the backup, I forget his name. Now they pay MBT all this money. He ain't gotten you wins. So obviously, G-Roy, Jarius, they have to make the decision. Go with him. That's for me personally, and I mentioned this in my reaction video. That's pretty dope. That would be pretty dope to have a interim. I don't care if you say interim, whatever. An African American general manager, an African American head coach, an African American quarterback. That would be something we've really probably never seen in the CFL. That's beautiful, and to probably see them, they have the talent. Edmonton has the talent. You put Trey back there, you got Kev back there, you've got the receivers to make something happen with the offense. Stop trying to do more than what your job description is. Just do your job, and I think they'll turn around. I think they can get the win against Hamilton. I truly believe this. If this is the game, whoever loses this game, you can kiss your playoff hopes goodbye. But turn it around, get Trey in there. I know you paid all that money for MBT, but put Trey in, run the offense, move the pocket with him, because Trey's going to move around. One thing we know about Trey, he's going to scramble, and get him to do his job, and everything will be fine.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I don't know if I forget what podcast I heard it on, but might have been the three down guys that were talking about it. I'm curious. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. MBT, the last time he was in the CFL, led his team to the Grey Cup. Essentially, was the Grey Cup winning quarterback. Obviously, got hurt. Chad Kelly finished the job off. Um, But what could they have spent? I believe Mikhail Bethel Thompson, it got paid around 500K or something like that. A pretty good amount of money. What could they have spent that around? If they named Trey Ford the starter, and they could have got another offensive lineman or two, or maybe another weapon or two, when they already have guys like Geno Lewis, Curly Gittens Jr. Heard Jim Alley even started the season off hot. Dylan Mitchell, a numerous amount of guys on offense. We mentioned Kevin Brown and not seeing him featured the way that he had in the past. So they have weapons. Imagine if they could have spent the additional, assets or money on offensive linemen or even another weapon. You can't. It's a long season. Herb Jamal has already dealt with injuries. Guys go down all the time. So it never hurts to have enough weapons. I just don't understand the decision. Um, I guess in Chris Jones's mind, it's kind of, I would imagine he felt the pressure to win now, and he felt maybe the best decision for him to win now was to go with the veteran and not to have the growing pains, which I think Trey Ford will have some growing pains, but with his growing pains is going to be greatness. We saw that last year when he was going through growing pains, right? Wasn't the best of Trey Ford, and I think he'd admit that himself. But that being said, what's the ceiling for Trey Ford in some of those plays that we saw from him when he's able to do some of those magical things? So I don't understand the I guess I don't want to say logical thinking, because I understand what his mindset was of not wanting to get fired. He ended up getting fired anyway. So you drafted the guy. I don't understand the decision. It kind of wasting assets over and over again. But let's get to talking about your Riders, coach. They're obviously a big game tomorrow night against Montreal. As we mentioned about Montreal dealing with some injuries, Cody Fajardo, KJG. Saskatchewan is dealing with some injuries. I believe they ruled out AJ Ouellette, KSB, already without Trevor Harris, obviously without Jamarcus Hardrick as well. So missing some guys on offense. I want to say there's a few more too that I remember seeing on the injury report that just aren't coming to name right now. But how are you feeling about the game, number one, and then just about the injuries, and how do you think Saskatchewan will approach it?
I'm a little nervous due to the fact that the one person that came back for Montreal is Marc Antoine Dequoy. He's back. That secondary is loaded. I know they don't have my guy Reggie Stubblefield. Shout out to Reggie. He's hurt, but that defense is strong.
Yeah.
And we're struggling in the run game right now, man. Our run game, 482 total rush attempts, only 80.3 yards a game. That's not good. That's the bottom. That's the low tier of the league. But it's still building that chemistry with the run game. Now we got Hickson back there running the ball. I think that Frankie Hickson's going to run the ball a little differently. He's going to bring some speed. He's going to bring some power. He's going to bring something that maybe the offensive linemen are used to. You know what I'm saying? Find the crease. With AJ, it's a lot of I'm going to get contact and I'm going to try and drag everybody. With Frankie, it's more I'm going to hit the crease and I'm going to get in the open field. I don't like Jamal Moore. I don't want I'm not really worried about the contact. I want to get there. I want to get first down. So we just got to run the ball a little better. We got to let Shea do his thing, but Shea has to also know near the end of the game, take a knee or just throw the ball away. We can't afford that to happen. And I our defense is going to have to step up even more too. If we get 2 and outs, defense has got to step up. We got to create some turnovers. Micah's got to get about 2 sacks this game.
Well, and you guys had it was almost, what we've seen all year. Saskatchewan with how they closed it out versus Winnipeg. The Dembski fumble late there, Winnipeg's kind of putting a drive together, and Saskatchewan's defense is reeling a little bit. And I forget who punched it out, but they come up from behind Dembski. Who was it?
Jameer Thurman.
Jameer Thurman, who's been making plays all year. I believe he has the most total takeaways defensively, if I'm not mistaken, or he's up there
Or
with I believe Roland Milligan. But guys, it's been crazy playmaker this year at the linebacker position with the peanut punch, the uppercut from Jameer Thurman, basically coming from the backside of Nick Dembski, popping the ball up, and from that point on, it was 3 minutes. I believe it was about 2 minutes and maybe 30 or 40 seconds left when that happened. A lot of time left in CFL football. That being said, as soon as that happened, it was like, oh man, that's lights out. They end up having a drive, and I believe securing another 3 points, getting it to 19-9 after that. So just the Saskatchewan defense continuing to step up in big moments. I think that they'll have to, and I would expect them to do it again once again versus Montreal, and maybe that's where Caleb's having a good game. He's managing things well, and maybe it's that one crucial mistake in the fourth quarter that might cost him. But I'm excited to watch this game tomorrow. I think I'd be a little bit more excited to see both starting quarterbacks if it was Trevor versus Cody.
yeah.
But I think it's going to be a hell of a game. But anything else, Coach?
Yeah, I want to add one thing. I think what it's going to come down to also is who makes the most big plays.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I think we are offensively we can do with Aju. You've got Sam Emlis, who's actually top three in yak. I told his brother Ricardo, shout out to him. I said, I need some yak from him this year. And he's shown it. He did it against Toronto. He's done it against Winnipeg. We've got big playability. It's just getting into field position where we can attack and we can get into the red zone. We don't need to have 7, 8, 9 long drive plays. We're gonna get tired out. We have to punt it at some point. 3, 4 plays, get them off the field and do something that we haven't really done this season. And that's just out the gate, big plays. And even add Mario in there. Mario, people don't realize in statistically, Mario is number 2 when it comes to big plays. Even though I know it's special teams, I know it's not part of the offense, but look at Janarian Grant. Look what he's done for them. He's made up for their big play ability. How many kickoff returns does he have? Like 4? 3 or 4?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So we need to use Mario a little bit. It ain't got to be 2, 3 plays in the game, but Mario can get us some yards. Get him on a jet sweep. Get him on something where he can get us a first down here, a big play, 15, maybe 20 on a play. Who knows?
I like the creativity. I know I saw you talking about how Janarian should have been used that way last year as well. But I'm
In the break.
curious. Yes, I'm curious. Talking about Janarian, let's talk a little bit about his greatness. I believe, I I I know he's mixed in a few punt and kick returns in there, but I want to say he's close to the most return touchdowns in a season through 8 games already. Now, obviously, things happen. You can go into slumps and cold stretches, but Janarian Grant has continued to do it year after year, and I think he'll be remembered as this generation's best returner, if you will, kind of something like that. But what can you say from him? Especially, I'm sure you have been accustomed to some of his highlights in the past, calling some of these reactions of oh my god, hearing Dustin Nielsen when he was with Winnipeg, some of these calls for some of these returns who were just electric and can flip some of these games on their head. So, what can you say for Janarian Grant's greatness and I know it might sound crazy, but do you think he's maybe in line to, if he obviously continues to do this, and we're talking a little bit about if, ands, or buts, but he could be, potentially a Hall of Fame, level returner in the CFL?
Let me start with this. He's the reason why I coined the phrase "Don't kick the dudes with dreads." he he is a phenomenal talent. I mean, absolutely. He's done things that I love his style. I love there's a lot of kick returners that want to try and they want to get hit the sideline. Janarian's going right up the gut and he'll weave. He finds his way to the end zone. His style is unmatched. It's God-given. And I like to think that when you say about the Hall of Fame, for us, like here in the States with like Devin Hester. Devin Hester, obviously the greatest kick returner in NFL history. But I think he finally got into the Hall of Fame after his second or third try because he's listed as a kick returner, but he's also a receiver. He was a receiver at one point later in his career. He was positionless. I like to think Janarian Grant could be that. He can be a Hall of Famer. If Gizmo can get in, damn it, put Janarian there. Now he's still got a little more body of work to do, but in the small impact, the small window that he's done it, put him in there, man. There's guys that are in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame that have done less. And Janarian Grant has made a difference.
That's the thing. I think a difference, and timely, and as well as it might sound silly, but winning plays as well, helping his team win. Not that getting these things and losing efforts is taking anything away, because especially for his he's doing his part, right? He's doing his job. He's making plays. He's getting his team's touchdowns in positions to score. But a lot of the time he's doing these in winning efforts and helping his team win, which should I feel like account for a little bit more. And just crazy electric ability for Janarian Grant. And personally, if I'm any special teams coordinator going into Toronto, I am not kicking the ball to that guy. I'm kicking it out of bounds and or squibbing it, whatever I need to do to keep it away from that guy, because he is absolutely dangerous and one of the best weapons in the CFL. With the ball in his hands, and I agree with the why not try him on offense, sprinkle him in here and there? Why not get him he's a dangerous and a big time threat. So curious to see how Toronto can maybe implement him into their offense, especially Nick Arbuckle? Is it going to be Cameron Dukes? That's probably where we're going to go next, Coach. What do you think about Cameron Dukes? I kind of got on the bandwagon a little bit early in the season. Was one of the defenders. After I believe the 4 or 5 interception game of I think there's a little bit more. I feel like Toronto's put a little bit of a leash on him, but hard to defend him here after the last few weeks. Toronto obviously not performing well offensively. Nick Arbuckle comes in. I guess you can say leads a late fourth quarter almost comeback. But what do you think the Toronto Argonauts do at quarterback for the time being? Obviously, only a couple more weeks before number 12 can reapply or whatever he has to do to play again. But what do you think of the Toronto Argonauts quarterback situation?
I think right now with their situation, you got to stick with Cameron Dukes. He has shown the ability to lead the team. Now, are they going to put is Dinwiddie going to put more of a leash on him? Yeah, a little bit. He kind of got a little gunslinger in him. He does take some chances when he's on the run. You kind of get him out the pocket. And Chad, I'm gonna say his name, Chad Kelly, does when he's on the run. He does try to throw it. He throws cross body. Cameron has that. Cameron can square up and throw it. It's just making the right decision and going through your progressions and being able to see, oh, he's cross field, I can get it there. Oh, there's no coverage over here. Oh, he's wide open here. So it's he's young. He's young, man. Let that man cook and let him do his thing. It's I like him. I really like him. There's nothing against Nick Arbuckle, but he's got something. He's got a little bit of that gunslinger mentality, but hone it in a little bit. Call plays for him where it's more about completions rather than the big play. Because we know Toronto can go for some big plays if they want to, but set up, build on it, then we attack.
Yeah, and I like what you said there, Coach, because Glenn Suter, I believe, was talking about on the broadcast of we live in a day and age now where people just want instant results. We've seen it obviously in the NFL and stuff like that. Some of these guys come in and perform right away. Now we're kind of getting to that stage in the CFL now with some of these guys where we want them just to perform. Obviously, Cameron Dukes is not a guy that got drafted or even had any experience playing Canadian football before he got picked up by the Argos. He comes into the league. I think he performed pretty well early on. He showed some flashes last season as well. he gets the trust to be, the starting quarterback for the time being while 12's out. That being said, I think, like you kind of mentioned, a little bit of patience would help, to, not feel like, after one bad game, it's am I going to get the hook? Do I have to look over my shoulder type thing? And it could
Yeah.
be a big help going into games where, I know people like fans like don't like to admit it or think it's crazy, but these guys are human beings just like us, just like every one of us, right? And they can kind of tend to, get in their own heads and overthink things, which I think Cameron Dukes has a little bit of something, and hopefully he gets another opportunity to kind of, keep proving himself and keep showing another team, hopefully, whether it's maybe this next season or maybe it's after, whenever his contract expires, that they can believe in Cameron Dukes to, maybe lead their franchise or maybe even get an opportunity to compete to start somewhere else. Because I think, with the money Toronto's kind of tied to Chad Kelly, I would think they're going to stick it out with him at least for this season. Who knows what's going to happen in the offseason? You never know what happens there. But, rooting for Cameron Dukes and hoping he can do well for the Argos, because I think when the Argos are doing good, the league's doing well as well. But anything else, Coach?
I think I want to say also that confidence. You got to let him get 4 or 5 completions in a row. Receivers and quarterbacks are just one and the same. If a receiver gets 2, 3 catches, he's got the confidence. He go like, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball. I'm rolling right now. You got to build up to it. Like I mentioned before, you got to build on it one play at a time. If you go through your openers, you know how it is, Cole. You played. You offensively, you go through your openers, whether it's 10 or 15. If it's 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, all right, we cooking. Let's open it up a little more once we get through our first couple series, first quarter. Even we get halfway into the second quarter, we about the 4 or 5 minute mark. Then we start playing around a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That it has to come down to Dinwiddie trusting him and letting him build on his confidence. He's young. He is human. They're all human. But there has to be consistency. There has to be confidence, and he has to make completions. That's it. Take care of the ball. And people act like, oh, it's bad if you're a game manager. There's nothing wrong with that. Manage the game, do your job, and let's put some points on the board, and we out of here. Get the W.
Nothing wrong with being a game manager. So, Coach, let's get on to, usually we talk about the little BC Lions right about now, preview the week ahead. That being said, this week they're on the bye week, so nothing to preview. But, I know how much of a BA fan you are. I was curious to kind of get your opinion. You talked a little bit about it earlier of, how surprised you were that Calgary was able to kind of keep them quiet. But I think a lot of it as well was, BA just missing and kind of being out of rhythm for whatever reason. And I think fans tend to, freak out right away and the ups and downs of a long season, right? Of a, try not to ride the roller coaster, I believe is what a lot of pro athletes like to say of, the ups and downs, peaks and valleys that happens. I think this was just one of the low points of the year, one of those bad games that, you have throughout an 18 game season, 22-week long year where, one of these games, obviously people tend to, overreact to a little bit more, but compared to maybe an 82 game NBA or NHL season, one of these games are like a, 5 game losing streak, I guess, if you want to, kind of compare it that way to, some fans where they think, you know, it's over, our season's done. We lost 1 week where it's, let's take it easy. We're 5-1 going into the bye. Everything is right ahead of us. We're going to get a good opportunity to, rest. Obviously, Burnham's been, life as a quarterback, you get beat up. The bumps and bruises that, aren't talked about. Obviously, there's been a few injuries reported on, but the stuff behind the scenes that are, going on that are hurting for Vernon. So I'm curious what you thought about the performance and then just what you think this bye week can do for them, because I think it's going to rejuvenate them even more.
Well, first, let me give credit to Calgary. Calgary, that defense and that defense is just consistent. They gonna hit you. And what I did like to see from Calgary was they didn't allow Vernon to run and square up and throw. They didn't give him a chance to set up, because I saw a couple plays where Vernon did have to slide. You get him out the pocket, and it showed that, wow, okay, Vernon can run. We all know Vernon can run. But it comes down to, does Vernon have a chance to set up? If they make him roll to the left, it's going to be hard for him to sit there and set up. So they did a really good job at that, flushing him out. And, they did their thing. Now, as far as Vernon goes, Vernon, the offense is set. This offense that they're in, West Coast principles, it's predicated for Vernon to be successful. Offensive line, it was shaky at the first game of the season that they had. It was rough. But this offense is set up for Vernon to succeed, put numbers up. We see what they're doing right now. Everybody got to relax. Let Vernon do his thing. He's going to cook. He's my pick for MOP. He's going to lead the way. They're going to go as far as Vernon takes him. Not William Stanback, not Justin McInnes, not Batman, not nobody else. It comes down to that quarterback and that brother doing his thing. Quit trying to pull him back and say, "Oh, we want the backup in." No, let that man do his thing. Let him lead the way, and everything will be fine. And I hate to say that as a Rider fan, but I want that West final. I want y'all in the West final. I want to see Vernon at our house. That's what I want.
I love the comment from Brian here. He says, "Don't worry, Lions fans. Second place isn't so bad. We can't all be number one.
Facts.
We will see. We'll meet again. And I think that'll be a nice big matchup. Later in the season for bragging rights of who's probably going to take first place going into the playoffs. But um, you know, from my perspective, not too worried. You're not gonna go undefeated every year. You're not gonna go undefeated. It's hard to go undefeated in general. So to lose a game or two here and there, you hate it to be Calgary, obviously, who's a I don't want to say a superior opponent, but somebody that record wise, obviously below you, a team that you can beat. That being said, like you said, you can't take away any credit from Calgary's defense, who basically punched the BC Lions offense right in the mouth from almost snap one to the end of the game, and their offense did just enough to win. And I think if Jake Mayer can do a little bit more, Calgary is a little bit of a better team, but BC 5-2, like Jay corrected me there. I think coming out of the bye week, you play Winnipeg. If you get a win there, all is good. Even at a loss, 5-3, maybe you lose a few games or lose a game on Saskatchewan, but we'll see when that happens. So defensively, quick coach before we get into our little quick picks here. Was good to see TJ Lee back in the lineup. What was your thoughts on that? And just defensively, how do you feel about the Lions through 8 weeks?
Through 7, 8 weeks, man. First of all, TJ coming back, that's a presence that they needed. That's a big presence. And he can bring up Ronald Kent Jr. I'm a big fan. Same thing I was last season with Reggie Stubblefield. I'm a big fan of Ronald Kent Jr., man. I saw him in Arrow Up. I like what he can do. He needs that vet with Gary bringing him up. But TJ being there, that made a difference, made a great goal line stand on that third down, got him off the field. I have all the faith in the world in my guy RP. Defense is there. I need to see more from that damn defensive line. You got Covington, you got Pete Robertson, you got Sione, you got the two big ooses, man. Come on, go get some sacks. Stop the run. This is frustrating for me because I love both defenses, our defense and their defense, and I love RP to death. But sometimes they're just sitting there. It's like they're sitting there and they're on their heels. And I don't like seeing that because that's not customary from a Ryan Phillips defense. They fly around. It's like they're something happens on second down. They're just watching and they're waiting. They can't do that. They can't. They go fly around, make plays, get them off the field, get Vernon back on the field, and go score the damn ball and run the damn ball. Run the ball with William Stanback a little more too. I've got to add that in there as well. But defensively, they're going to get better over time. They're gonna get there, and they're gonna be top 3. I ain't worried about it.
I agree with the William Stanback. I believe he only had 9 carries as well last week. But getting back to the defense, um, you know, Pete Robertson kind of started out the season hot. He's kind of died off or gotten a little bit quiet, I guess you should say. I shouldn't say died off. And then Sione, he did get his first few sacks of the season. I believe he got his first sack of the season versus Calgary. With that being said, I believe he had maybe 3 or 4, 15-yard penalties, personal fouls, just, not helping the team in the right way. So that's something that I want to see more from it, as well as the defensive line and them affect games. Now, I know numbers wise or statistic wise, sacks have been down compared to previous years, but there's no reason why they can't start ratcheting up for the Lions, for anybody across the league. So I'm hoping that the Lions can do that, because especially with Christian Covington, who really hasn't flashed yet through 7 games. Um, would be nice to, have an addition like that through the back half of the season to have a big time presence inside, especially in the interior. I think would help out, the linebackers even more than the secondary if you're able to push the pocket from the interior, get the ball out even quicker. So that'll pretty much do it. A quick little BC Lions chat for the bye week. Not much more to be said. Obviously, when Blake's joining us back again next week, we'll get into the preview for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers once they're out of the bye week, and we'll be back to a regular scheduled program. That being said, we're going to bring in Shane Ryan from 13th Man Sports a little bit earlier than expected, and we are going to do our CFL quick picks, coach. So just going to go through the week ahead and give our picks and just preview the game a little bit, talk about it a little bit. So Shane Ryan of 13th Man Sports. Shane, thanks for joining us. How you doing, buddy?
Not bad. How are you guys doing?
Oh, good. So as always, Shane, going to do our CFL quick picks, go around the league, and give our picks. So we will start off by recapping last week's results, which weren't the best for Blake and myself. You had yourself a better week for sure, pulling a little bit closer, me pulling a little closer to Blake, and Blake staying closer to us. So to recap last week's action, I went unfortunately 1-3. Blake went 0 for 4, so 0 for on the week for
Yeah,
Blake,
baby.
which was tough for Blake. And then Shane with a 3-1 week, beating both Blake and I combined. But Shane pulls a little bit closer. Like I mentioned, I pull a little closer to Blake. Blake's still in first place with a 14-10 record on the season. I stay in second place with a 13-11 record, so I'm 1 win behind Blake as of now. We don't know if we're going to dock him or not for tonight's absence, or if he's watching in the chat, he can quickly put his picks in the chat, I guess. We can accept that. Or we're going to dock him, and I might take over first place, which is a good thing. That being said, Shane is in last, but he does have the asterisk, coach, because he missed 1 week, which we haven't docked him for. So he went 3-1 last week, which brings him to 10-8 on the year. He's 4 games less than us, but I think we're going to do a win percentage or something like that by the end of the year. So that's how things will go, coach. Just give your pick, a little spiel of, I'll ask you kind of who you picking and why type thing. Rant or go on for however long you want. This is a nice little opportunity for us to kind of talk about the week ahead and preview and give our picks. So let's start with tomorrow night's matchup, which, coach, we talked a little bit about it already. So I will go to Shane first. Who you picking between Saskatchewan and Montreal, Shane?
I'm taking Saskatchewan. I
Yeah.
think with Fajardo being hurt, like I'm a big Caleb Evans supporter. I was when he was with Ottawa. I think he has the ability to be a quality CFL starter. But for him, I know they're at home. They're at home hosting Saskatchewan, so it's a little bit better than having to go to Saskatchewan for a start. But I don't know. I feel like Saskatchewan's just finally starting to get into a rhythm. Shea Patterson is starting to look really good. It's hard to pick. I know they're coming off a bye week and they've had a chance to prepare. I don't feel confident in Caleb Evans this week. I think he's just going to need some time to settle into that spot, just like Shea Patterson needed. So I think they're going to rely heavily on their defense to come out on top. I just have Saskatchewan winning. But more importantly, I think this, like, Fajardo is on the 6th game. This opens up everything in the East for every team. Like, Hamilton and Montreal play back-to-back in week 9 and 10. If Hamilton beats Edmonton, which is a very big possibility, they could easily have a chance to be 4-6 going into week 11. And they could be right up there with a chance to be in that top 2 spot, be in that top 3 spot in the East. So if you're Hamilton, you're like, okay, let's take care of business against Edmonton, get to 2-6. And then you got a depleted Montreal team with Caleb Evans in back-to-back weeks. You have to be looking at that as like an opportunity to make up ground and get yourself right back into a playoff spot. So the West, like, there's no crossover potential right now between the East and the West. So that 3rd spot is very important on both sides of the playing Mayfield.
I agree. So Shane obviously going to take the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Coach, who you picking and why?
I'm gonna go with the Riders, and obviously, but I want to piggyback on what Shane said. He made a very good point. He took my point. So, damn. Uh, there's a difference between starting for Ottawa and starting for the reigning and defending Grey Cup champions. There's a big difference. You have more weapons. You have to be able to be consistent, and the expectation is to dominate and to win. Playing for Montreal, I like Caleb Evans. I've liked him even just like Shane. I liked him in Ottawa, but the expectation, he's sometimes he starts, sometimes he does, sometimes he didn't. It was situational for him in Ottawa because of injuries and stuff like that. Now you're the guy for the next few weeks. Can you reel off some wins? Now for us, we got to create turnovers. That's what it's going to come down to. Can we be that aggressive defense in the secondary? Can we be ball hawks? Can we get a few yards off our interceptions? Can anybody create turnovers other than just Jameer Thurman punching the ball out? Is everybody going to get the job done on defense? Offensively, we got to win the second down battle. We can't just have 2 and outs. We got to win second down. If not 75%, damn near it 95%. I know that's asking a lot, but you can't get the ball back to Montreal. They got too many people out there. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get a lot of hate 'cause there's a lot of Riders fans in the chat, and I'm with Coach Phil here tonight. That being said, I'm gonna take Montreal because I see this as an opportunity because Shane going with Saskatchewan for me to hopefully gain another opportunity to go one up. I see this as kind of a toss-up game, pick 'em. That being said, we talked a little bit about it earlier, Coach, but neither of you guys mentioned the injuries to Saskatchewan as well. Obviously, we talked about Frankie Hickson coming in for Adriel Ouellette. KSB, I'm curious to see, you know, KSB's obviously was exciting earlier, kind of came back down to earth. But, Aju, obviously, Shane, you were pretty high on him going into the year. Can he maybe, take advantage of this, bigger role, bigger opportunity to have more snaps? I'm curious to see what happens. That being said, I think being at home, I talked a little bit about it earlier with Coach of, if Caleb's able to take care of the ball late, which Coach thinks is going to be maybe the opportunity for Saskatchewan to get a turnover late. I think they can win by a field goal or two. So I'm going to go with Montreal. At home too, I think is has to play a little bit of a factor here. So I will go with Montreal, and we will go to Friday night's game. But first, actually, we have a little surprise drop in. We have our man Blake joining.
So quickly,
Yes.
before we jump over to Friday,
What's up,
I just want to
guys?
say the difference maker.
Hold on. I have to start
Before
it
we
every
jump
time.
into Friday, I just want to say the difference maker is going to be the defensive and offensive line.
Yeah, one sec, Shane. We will go into Friday night. We will introduce Blake back to the pod, though. Blake, appreciate you for dropping by, buddy. We won't dock you any points for missing the picks tonight. We have 2 riders so far and 1 Montreal. Who are you picking and why?
I was listening to you guys a bit. This game was really tough for me to pick because I appreciate you, Wizard takes. That's not true, but I'll take the compliment either way. No, but I think I have to go with the Alouettes in this game. There's just
My
too many
man.
injuries on the Riders side of the ball. They're missing their starting quarterback. They're missing their starting running back. They're missing arguably their top wide receiver. I think that's just too much for them to overcome. I don't have confidence in Caleb Evans. Shane is going to like to hear this, that I think the Red Blacks, by the time Cody Fajardo is back, will be in first place. But for this game only, I think that Evans will do enough to get the Alouettes to victory.
All right. Coach Phil is not impressed, and I would imagine, Wizard Takes, Brian, all the Riders fans in the chat are probably very, very disappointed, especially with Coach's face. He is not happy with you. You do not get a goodie bag on the way home, Blake.
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
I'm kind
Coach,
of.
Coach, before we go to Friday night's matchup, Coach, would you like to respond?
First of all, Blake, I got started by saying love you. Uh, no, I can't. What does that even mean? We got some. Everybody got some injuries. Part of the game. We're gonna be okay. We have more depth this year at receiver than we did last year. We're gonna be perfectly fine. I'm
No,
not worried.
I would agree with that, coach. But the thing is, the Riders or the Alouettes, part of me, have their starting running back. They have their top wide receiver in Tyson Philpott. I get that you guys have more depth, but I think this is going to be a low scoring game. And one of those game breakers, whether it's Philpott, whether it's Fletcher, is going to make the play that decides the game.
But you already know Tyson gonna have a really good game. But
Yeah.
he's going. I trust Marcus Sales on the strong side. I trust him. They're gonna throw weak side at some point. We gonna get ours. We gonna get an interception. Roman gonna be over there. Roman, best believe that. And the one weakness that the Alouettes do have, who's gonna call the game? Is it gonna be
Yeah, no,
AC?
you're right.
Who gonna call the game?
Yep.
You,
Corey
you,
Mace.
you already know. You already know. So who coaching staff gonna get it done?
Blake, this
I
is all
don't.
fun and games, but I like this comment from Brian. He said, "Can't spell Blake without the L." He is not happy with you for
That's
going against
fine.
the Riders. That being said, we have a tied up through one game. Blake and I going with Montreal, and Shane and Coach going with Saskatchewan through one game in week number 8. So let's go to Friday night's game when Calgary travels to Ottawa take on the Red Blacks. I will go
Mm,
to Coach first. Who you picking and why?
I'm going with Ottawa for the upset. I think Ottawa's defense has shown that they can get it done. They come from top to bottom. I haven't really seen much from their linebackers yet. They got so many damn linebackers on that team. I just haven't seen enough of them yet to see who's going to be the dog to lead that defense. But that front line's nice. Bryce Carter, Lorenzo Malden doing their thing. DeAndre Lamont has been a star on the rise. If you're gonna throw to him at your own risk. Jake will throw an interception every now and then during the game. You just got to complete off of that offensively. I like the run game that they got right there. Drew Brown need to take care of the damn ball. He gets too cute throwing it, man. He tries to do this aerial assault thing, this air raid style of offense, and it's you have to run the ball a little more. And I think that's a lot of teams need to do, run the ball more. But who gonna take care of the ball? I think Ottawa's gonna take care of the ball a little more, and we're gonna get up out here with a W.
All right. The Ottawa Red Blacks get a victory from Coach. Shane, I will pass to you. You're the Red Blacks man here on the pod. Who you picking and why in Friday night's matchup?
I'm taking Ottawa. I think Calgary, they got a good win against.
Oh,
Might have lost Shane there for a sec.
he's there.
It's a 1 point game. It could have gone either way. Good.
Yeah, I hear you now.
We hear you.
Okay. I think overall, Ottawa is a better team. I think Calgary got a little lucky. I think BC didn't take them as seriously as they should have. Kind of fell into that trap game, going right into a bye week. Unfortunately, we saw it quite a bit in Ottawa with Rick Campbell. So I don't want to say I'm surprised it happened. It was kind of a trend in Ottawa where you would struggle kind of going into the bye week and then struggle coming out of the bye week. But I think overall, like Ottawa has a better running game. They have better receivers. They have a better quarterback. I'll take Drew Brown over Jake Mayer any day of the week. The only question is they have 5 DBs that are out. Like no Tobias Harris, Dandridge is still out, McGee's still out. Lamont's going to have to step up. Baltimore's going to have to step up. These guys are all going to have to take that next step. I mean, we know Baltimore can. He's been in the league long enough, but Lamont's going to have to take quite a big step up. He's turning into a solid guy. He's shown, some weaknesses, sometimes some, slow feet, getting caught flat-footed a little bit here and there. But you're gonna have to have that secondary step up, and like Coach said, you're gonna have to control the ball. You're gonna have to keep the ball. It has not been a strong suit of the Red Blacks since week 1. They have, I think, 9 total, or 14 total turnovers. They have 7 fumbles. So they got outside of Drew Brown's 5 interceptions. They have to keep the ball in their hands. Their receivers, their running backs, they got to keep the ball in their hands. So if they can do that, I think Ottawa can come away with a pretty significant win this week.
Can I add something to that with what Shane said? I think the one thing that I like that the defense has done is they've let DeAndre Lamont play weak and not have him play strong. That is a benefit to him because you're letting Baltimore be the number 1 DB. You've got DeAndre on the other side, and he's gonna feed off of that. I rarely catch him being flat-footed. I rarely catch him looking in the backfield. I rarely see him getting lost in the sauce, and he gets in on tackles. So he's gonna do his thing. It's not like he's just gonna be sitting around. Baltimore's got to step up a little bit. I'm not too worried. So Shane, we're gonna be the only ones going for Ottawa, I think.
All right, Blake, I will pass it down to you, buddy. Who are you picking? Who are you picking on Friday night
to start already?
Calgary and Ottawa. Yeah, actually, you missed that. Actually, you have to get a little bit of your due. You went 0-4 last week, my man.
I know.
Did you know that, or did
I
did
knew.
you just?
Yeah, but
All right.
you guys didn't go much better. You were both 1-3.
No, I believe Shane was better, was he not? He picked Montreal, who lost. That was his one loss. He picked Calgary to win. Calgary won, correct?
Oh, that's
He also
right.
picked wait a second.
Wait,
I might have
no,
looked
didn't
at
I pick the Riders last week?
Oh, we
Okay,
got
we might have
a little scandal going on right now. We might have
no,
to
we
redo this.
we might have to correct this live on air afterwards. I might have looked at the wrong week, so we could have similar records.
Yeah, I was gonna
TBD
say,
until
didn't I
after
pick the Riders?
TBD until after the picks.
I think
That
we
being
all took the
said, Blake,
Riders. I thought we all took the Riders against
We
Winnipeg.
did.
we did.
I thought we all the only difference. I thought we only had one difference between the 3 of us.
Is Blake's who picked Edmonton.
Yeah, that was the only one.
So we did have a good week then. Or better, or we didn't actually.
I think I went
who
1-3, and you guys went 2-2.
Yes,
Yeah, because I think we
correct.
all took Toronto over Hamilton.
Yeah, we
Yes.
did.
So I will tally up afterwards. That being said, Blake, who you got and why, my friend?
I'm gonna go with the Red Blacks. I like what they've done so far this year. I know the last 2 games are against Edmonton, and yes, I'm aware I picked Edmonton in both of those games, and they did me dirty both of those games. But I'm still not a fan of Jake Mayer as the starting quarterback of the Calgary Stampeders. I can't get over that. I don't think looking at him, I don't think Coach Phil likes my pick again, but I just can't pick the Stampeders. Like they have good pieces in Bagleton, in Jalen Philpott, some of the guys on defense, and Alway
Arthur
and Cam
Michelle.
Judge, stuff like that. But like I just don't think they're a good enough team. And the fact that the Stamps are 0-3 on the road, the Red Blacks are 3-0 at home. So that makes a difference to both of those teams. And that's where this game is being played at TD Place. So I think the Red Blacks are going to win a close one this week.
Coach is unimpressed with you.
So I will say the 0-3 and 3-0 thing doesn't matter. The big thing that matters is Ottawa is 3-11-2 against Calgary since 2014. Like, Calgary should be the favorites based off of their all-time record. Like, they are 3-11-2. I don't know how Calgary and Ottawa got back-to-back years with ties, That has to be some sort of script writer being like, let's just throw in a tie for fun. But to be fair, there's also prime Bo Levi during that good portion of the era. But I don't think the home and away record matters so much. Can Ottawa just break the curse of Calgary? They beat them last year in like week 7 in Calgary. So can they do it again in week 8 here? Maybe. But I think there's a big emphasis around the overall record. And I think that's why a lot of people are looking at Calgary as the favorite. No matter what Calgary could be 0-20. They're 11-3-2 against Ottawa since they've come back into the league. That holds so much weight for so many people.
Blake, you're overcooking my damn grits right now, man. I'm trying to tell you, because you sit here. I'm not going to sit here and let you disrespect Calgary. Now, I did pick Ottawa, but don't sit here and disrespect Calgary like that, okay? Calgary's got Mark and Michelle. They've got Biggleton. They've got Jalen Philpott. They've got my guy, Cole, what's his face? Nasty little white boy.
Tucker.
Huh?
Cole Tucker.
Cole Tucker. There you go, Cole Tucker. They got Dedrick freaking Mills, a bull in a china shop, a bull in the woods, if you will, running the ball. Peyton Logan. You can talk about Jake all you want to. You can call him Jake from State Farm for all I care. It don't matter. Can you win the game and can you manage the game? That's all you need from Jake. Just manage the game. I'm not expecting you to sit there. Clark Barnes, I forgot about him. Just manage the game. Now, I'm not picking them, but I'm saying from a West Coast, from a West Division team, that's a nasty team. Now, I did forget one thing. If I could add it in here. The one weakness on that defense this season has been Trey Roberson. And I love Trey. But Trey's been giving up some plays. So Ottawa's got to take advantage of that. Put Dominic Rhymes on him, head top, get him across field, run some crossing routes, little stop here, little stop there, hitch, boom, get him rolling. We out of here with the W. Cole, who you got?
Tough. I've heard it all.
I just have an issue with Jake Mayer as quarterback. Like, I think they're a better team
why?
than Chris Schultz.
I agree.
Because I don't like Mayer. I don't think he's shown anything that has been like, oh man, this guy's a game changer. Give me Chris Schultz more than Jake Mayer. If you put
hell
Chris
no,
Schultz,
you can't disrespect my cousin like that. Go ahead.
No, Chris Schultz is more of a gamer than Jake Mayer is. Chris Schultz would have had a better time than Jake Mayer has this season.
All right. I've heard it all. Tough game for me to pick. First of all, yes, I'm running the show. Yes, I messed up. All right, boys. So let's settle down here first of all. That being said, I'm hearing what Coach is saying. I'm hearing what Coach is saying about Calgary's weapons, who I talked about earlier, who I really like, and their defense is strong as well, especially up the middle. With Mike Alway and Cameron Judge leading that defense. I just can't get on the Jake Mayer bandwagon. Now I understand what Coach is saying by there's also nothing wrong with game managers, which I feel like Jake Mayer does a great job of what he's asked to, which is to protect the ball. They don't like to push the ball down the field, especially with Calgary. They like to protect the ball, run the football. With obviously for a few years previous, it was with Kadeem Carey. This year they shifted to Dedrick Mills and a little bit of Peyton Logan. I think I'm going to go Calgary. I think I'm going to go Calgary because kind of what Coach said a little bit about like the game management. I kind of know what to expect going into the game from Jake Mayer. He's going to take care of the ball. He's going to put his team in position to win. We've seen a little bit more. I know you're not the biggest fan, I believe, Coach, of Drew Brown. I feel like he's still finding his way in the CFL. He's still finding who he's going to be on a week-to-week basis, where we know who Jake Mayer is. He's going to take care of the football. I wouldn't be surprised if this game comes down to a little bit like the Saskatchewan-Montreal, where it's a close game late, where it's, for me personally, it is more of a pick-em type game. I'm going with Calgary because, Coach, or obviously Shane going with Ottawa. I think Calgary's going to have an opportunity to win this game late because of Jake Mayer and that offense being able to not put the ball in harm's way. Now, that being said, it is a double-edged sword where they don't push the ball downfield. They don't usually make a lot of spectacular plays on offense. maybe Ottawa's feeling at this game. They kind of got Dominic Rhymes a little bit more involved, which I'd like to see. Obviously, the is it Khalil Pimpleton? I don't know. I forget his first name, but they've kind of found something there with Pimpleton being used in the offense and being a weapon for them. So maybe this is a game where Ottawa, is hitting on all cylinders, and I can be proven wrong. That being said, I'm going to go with, coaches like to say, the more reliable guy, what I can, I know what I can expect from Jake Maier, which is to be a game manager, to not really push the ball and put it in harm's way. I'm not the biggest Jake Maier fan, as Blake knows, as people that tune in on a regular basis fan going back to last year. But Calgary obviously, brought him back for a reason. They like him for a reason. He's just personally not my cup of tea. But if he's a professional quarterback, he's a pro for a reason. I'm going to go with Calgary, which is a little bit shocking. I came in kind of a little bit TBD, but I will go against the spread, and I will take the Calgary Stampeders and go against you three. Blake Shane? Is anybody want to respond? It looked like you guys, Shane, coach, kind of wanted to respond a little bit as well. Blake, you might be
Shane, I
muted,
think
Shane.
you're muted, buddy.
I think the deciding factor in this game is Peyton Logan as a returner. He put Calgary in short field like 5 or 6 times against BC. He put Jake Maier in a position to score, and Jake Maier took advantage of it. If Ottawa can nullify those big returns, like those 30 plus yard returns that Logan got against BC, and force Maier to drive the field, that's going to be a change. And it's the same thing with Calgary. If Pimpleton's the one receiving the ball, because Tobias Harris and Dedman are both hurt, they're both out. If he can flip the field and put Drew Brown in positive field position, that's going to be the game changer. It depends on what special teams can flip the field, give their quarterback the least amount of field to work with, because these defenses, as we've seen, can cause turnovers. They can cause some bad throws. They can cause quite a bit of 2-and-outs in a row. It's going to be a special teams battle. I think that's what decides this game overall.
You guys are also forgetting that 2 weeks ago, Drew Brown threw for 480 yards, the most yards in the CFL game this year.
Don't give a damn about that.
I know, but if Maier throws for
Coach should change his
200,
pick to Calgary.
You know what? I don't. I just thought about that because it sounds like I'm vouching for Calgary. But I just don't like the disrespect on Jake, though. That's the thing. Every quarterback's a game manager. Every quarterback is not going to sit there and throw for 468 yards, Blake. It's every now and then. Every quarterback in the CFL throws between 200 and 300 yards. He has one 400 game, and all of a sudden you know what, Blake? Because of you, I'm going with Calgary. I'm changing my pick. I'm going with Calgary.
My thing with Maier.
Hey, I love Ottawa. I got a soft spot for Ottawa.
No, I get it. I have no issue with you taking Calgary. I get it. My thing with Maier, my personal thing with Maier is that he just leaves so much to be desired when you watch him. Like, he looks like he should be able to spread the field, drive the ball downfield, and he just doesn't do it. Like, he's scared to do it. He plays like he doesn't trust his arm or doesn't trust the play calling. He just leaves so much to be desired. So he's good. He's a quality quarterback.
Yeah.
I like him. I think he's not a bad quarterback. I don't like, if you were to line him up, he's a mid-tier of the available quarterbacks in the CFL, starting quarterbacks. He is like 4 to 6 right now.
But I just
want more from him,
which is good, right?
I just want more from him.
But I'm scared. The reason why I didn't originally pick Calgary is because I agree. He leaves so much out there. And when he throws those out routes, it could be jumped at any point in time. And when it comes to the fourth quarter, and if they got the ball with 2 minutes left, I'm scared when he throws those out. He's trying to stop, the clock. That's secondary. I don't know. Darius, my dog, he might pick one off. DeAndre might pick one off. Baltimore might pick one off. I'm scared. If Jake put too much air on it, we in trouble.
All right, boys. Let's get to game number 3 on Saturday. We got the Winnipeg Blue Bombers traveling to the Toronto Argonauts. Blake, I will go to you first. Who you picking and why?
I'm picking the Argonauts because the Blue Bombers stink and their reign is over. No, this actually, in all seriousness, this week is really hard to pick, especially with the Lions not playing. It's probably a good week that they're on their bye, but I don't know what to go with this one. Um, my serious answer is I think that I'm going to go with the Argonauts. I'm just not convinced that the Bombers have enough right now. Whether it's Cameron Dukes or Nick Arbuckle, I think it should be Nick Arbuckle. And I think if he's the starter, that actually gives Toronto more of an edge than it would if Cameron Dukes was starting. Zach Claros, it's pretty clear. I'm not saying this just because I'm a Bomber hater. It's pretty clear that he's lost his step. He hasn't been able to do much at all this year. I think he's thrown one touchdown pass so far, Cole. Oliveira has been doing his share, but he can't do everything. And with so many bodies out, Wolotarski, Showen, there's a couple more that I'm missing. Lawler's out as well for the whole year. I just don't think the Bombers have enough to compete if the other team scores more than 17, 18 points.
All right, we have a one Toronto. Shane, I'll pass things down to you. Who you picking and why?
So Claris has 2 passing touchdowns. Not great, but better than one.
Okay.
Honestly, I have Winnipeg. I like Arbuckle got some magic against Hamilton last week. To kind of force that game into be a closer game than it should.
Janarian Grant got some magic last week to make that a closer
True.
game.
True. But man, what is Cameron Dukes? Like I talk about Jake Mayer leaving so much left to be
Coach
desired.
Smith.
Dukes is kind of the same boat right now. Like you want him to do so much, or you think he can do so much, but he just doesn't. And I don't know. There's a serious drop between number 12 and Dukes, and you don't know what you're getting from game to game. And I'll take Caleros. I think that team is finally starting to find its rhythm. Struggled a little bit last week, but I don't know. I have troubles picking Cameron Dukes. He has a great game against Montreal. People want to discredit because of Fajardo's injury, but then puts up a goose egg against the worst team, the second worst team in the league against Hamilton. So I don't know. I think Winnipeg takes this one. I think it's going to be a close scoring game. Grant might have a kind of a screw you game. He might be the difference maker in all of this, but I think Winnipeg can pull up on top.
All right, Coach, I'll give you the floor. Go ahead and respond.
I come from a long line of Black people that have taken disrespect in history, but for you to sit there and disrespect Dookie Duke like that, I ain't gonna have that. All right, Cam gonna sit there and do his thing. We ain't worried about what you're talking about. I'm going with Toronto for the W. Now as far as with Winnipeg, I'm kind of disappointed. I'm and I don't dislike Winnipeg. I know as a Rider fan, you're supposed to not like them, but you have to respect what they've done. But this year has just been a year of a drop off. You see what Zach has been able to do with the pieces. He's had weapons around him for 4 or 5 years. And now you see what he can do without weapons. Now the young guys, I like that young guy that they got. The one that had a big game against Calgary. I forgot his name.
Ontario Wilson.
Yeah, but is he enough? I like that they've got Dembski moving around. I like that Brady was running the ball more, but no. And quiet as it's kept. Also, I'm probably going to take some flack for this because that's my dog. I love him to death, but I feel bad for Willie J. He's given everything he's got on defense. He's given Adam, all those guys. Now, Trey Ford's brother, nasty. That boy nasty. I like him, but it's got to be everybody else. I feel like Brandon Alexander's taking a step back this year. I think the secondary is not the same. I think that they're an easy lick. They're an easy lick. It's just what it is right now. But don't count them out just yet. Kenny will be back, in 2 weeks, a week or two or so. Give him another weapon, but Toronto gonna win.
All right, Coach and Blake taking Toronto, and Shane and I going with Winnipeg. I'm gonna go with the Bombers as well. Um, tough decision as well because Toronto is a good team. I've been on the Toronto bandwagon all season. Coming into the year, I thought they were going to be a good team, keep afloat until number 12 came back because of where they're built up front on both sides of the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively. Obviously, Jake Seresna, we saw him back, got a sack last week. So they're good in the trenches, which will give them a chance to win every single week. That being said, I think, I agree. It is kind of super weird. It felt like last week, especially with I was talking with Coach earlier there with Winnipeg having the ball late with under 3 minutes to go, I believe. Dembski ends up fumbling the ball. It felt like that was an opportunity where they were going to come drive the ball down. I believe it was 16-9 at the time before they kicked the final field goal to make it 9-19. Within 7 points, that felt like a time where the old Bombers would drive the field for sure, get a touchdown, get the extra point, and either force overtime or find a way to kick a field goal in the walk off. It does feel like this is a little bit of a new era of Winnipeg where they aren't the same, being able to pull wins out of their ass, if you will, of playing shitty for the first 3 quarters, stealing the game in the late fourth quarter, which we saw from them a lot last year, if we're being honest, right? Where they didn't put a lot of complete games together. I just think I don't know if it's maybe a little bit of blind faith here. I think they're gonna, get it right and find a way to get into the playoffs, whether that's a 3 seed or a crossover into the Eastern Division playoffs. I think Winnipeg will do just enough to get into a playoff spot. I'm not putting money on the line to say that they're going to go on any run or betting on them when it comes to playoff time. Um, I just think this is a game where they can, get a win, get right, if you will, get a little bit of confidence going forward. I love what Coach said about Willie Jefferson. I think if they had somebody riding shotgun with Willie on defense, man, they would be that much better to, not have the secondary cover for so long, not have some of those, run lanes be so, big and wide open. And I think they thought about Celestin Haba as that type of, guy that's going to be that 1A, 1B, opposite of Willie, replacing Jackson Jeffcoat. He obviously been banged up and stuff like that. So, just tough for Winnipeg because I don't think they're going to be able to get back to, who we're accustomed to seeing Winnipeg. I still think they're competitive enough with, guys like Zach Collaros, Brady Oliveira, who will do enough, especially with, Mike O'Shea as well. It's not like things are going to be, running wild in that locker room. He's going to be running a tight ship still. There's going to be nobody that's, more pissed off in that building probably than Mike O'Shea, who's going into the, his office the next morning, whether it's Monday, Sunday, whatever they played, and, getting into the film, wanting to correct this because especially some of their games, I feel like they could have won and come on the other side of things. So I'm curious to see what happens this week. I think this is a winnable game. Another game, I've kind of copped out all 3 times, but I think this could be a pick 'em. I could easily be proven wrong. I'm going to go with Winnipeg and put my money behind them, or put my word, I guess, behind them. But Coach, is there anything you'd like to respond before Shane does?
Shane, go ahead before I'll go last.
I was just gonna say, like, you bring up Jackson Jeffcoat, and I think over the last 4 years, when they went to the 4 straight Grey Cups, Jefferson got a lot of the attention, both in the media and on the field. I think you're starting to see that, like, Jeffcoat had such a massive impact on what Willie was able to do that now he doesn't have a running mate on the opposite side where you can kind of pick your point, where you have to pick your poison. You're seeing more and more teams flip over and just starting to double team Jefferson more. I think I've seen Jefferson doubled more times this year than I have the previous 4 because you don't have that other guy on the other side who can spread that offensive line and spread out the protection, which I think has hurt not just Jefferson's production. I think he only has like a sack or 2 on the season so far, but has hurt the secondary and hurt the overall like defense because you don't have that pass rusher.
I agree. You took the words out of my mouth once again. Damn you, Shane. Losing Jackson was the biggest mistake by not re-signing him. But I'm going to say this right now. So I hope nobody takes this the wrong way, what I'm going to say when it comes to Willie. This season, Willie's gotten by with being athletic as hell. 6'7", athletic as all get out. It doesn't have to necessarily. He's not the most technical, but he got by how I just get by with speed, his hand placement, everything. Now, when you're facing double teams, you need to be more technical and you have to try and get through those double teams. He hasn't really had to do that. So now he has to. I even said earlier in the offseason, I said, I want to see Willie reinvent himself now that they don't have Jackson. This is what he has to do. When I interviewed him, he said he want to play another 3 to 5. Well, if you're going to do that, you got to do something else. Rather, you're not gonna be able to swim by everybody. You're not gonna be able to bull rush people all the time. You're getting doubled everywhere. If they would have had Jackson, if they would have had the big number 9, I liked him, Walker. Now that's a body that could have took on some pressure. But Willie, I hate seeing him in this position because I love him to death, but he's got to reinvent his game. And I expect that from him. Maybe not this season, maybe going into the off season, but this is tough. This is tough for me to watch as a Willie Jefferson guy. And my daughter's a big Willie Jefferson fan. She struggles with watching it because it's not him.
Yeah, like when Aikman. Sorry, Cole, go ahead.
The thing that I got a little bit of confidence from Willie is what we've seen in the past of him being so effective batting the ball down.
Mm-hmm.
We hadn't really seen that early on in the season. We did see a little bit a few weeks ago, but then kind of a little bit more quiet again. I think that's another area as well. If you're not getting to the quarterback, he's 6'7" with those big ass arms. Get your hands up, man, and bat as many balls as you can down, because that's another area you can impact the game as well. But Shane, go ahead.
Yeah, so I honestly, when Aikman got released by Toronto, I thought he was going right to Winnipeg. Like, I thought that was kind of the next destination for him. I was kind of surprised that he ended up in Edmonton, because you have Aikman on the inside who can take two bodies. It's not an extra edge rusher, but it would have relieved a little bit of pressure off Jefferson. So I was 100% expecting that, and kind of surprised they didn't go after it. Or maybe they just didn't land it, which is kind of surprising.
Who are you talking about? Yeah. From Oakman?
Yeah.
Yeah, Oakman. When he got released from Toronto,
I
honestly thought he was going to Winnipeg. And I was like, and when it started to take a little, like, I thought he was going to be released. And then by the end of the week, he was going to be scooped up by Winnipeg. I thought, like, man, this is the guy you need on your team. He'll help your defensive line. He'll help Jefferson. And then kind of stayed there for like 2 weeks and then got picked up by Edmonton. So a little shocking there, given the situations. But yeah, it was kind of disappointing. I feel like most Winnipeg fans would have were kind of disappointed too by some of the reactions.
I got a question. Before I know we're gonna go on to the last matchup because I'm ready for that one. Do you guys feel like Willie will end his career in Winnipeg, or do you think they'll do him like they did Jackson?
I don't know. That's a tough question, Coach. I think it depends if probably they really in need of getting. I would think Willie's gonna want to stay, but like say maybe what if they go in kind of a new direction where they have to rebuild in a sense where maybe the writing's on the wall, they have a young quarterback next year. Does Willie want to be a part of that? I know you have more of a connection with him. Maybe you have more of an insight to that. I would think Willie's gonna want to stay around as long as arms are open and the Bombers are willing to. But I feel like at a certain point in time, you have to kind of rebuild and kind of move on in a way. Although it sounds crazy, I know Willie Jefferson, a guy who's an all-star level player who's been doing it for a long time, but at some point maybe it's a new leaf where it could be Zach Collaros, it could be Willie Jefferson. Who knows what happens this offseason if they aren't able to have this success. I think he's going to maybe go somewhere else because I think maybe the Bombers aren't able to have the success that he wants maybe in his latter stage of the career, and maybe he tries to get another Grey Cup or two. So I'm going to say no. But Shane, Blake, what do you guys think?
Yeah. So
you go ahead, Blake. Shane.
No, you go. I've talked enough right now.
No, I was just going to say I don't think so either. I think Willie's he's too far into his career. He probably wants another Grey Cup ring, and like we've talked about for the past 10 or so minutes, 10, 15 minutes, I think the Bombers window is closing. So I think this might be, or more appropriately, I think the Bombers window is closed. So I think that he'll finish this year, and then he'll finish next year. Next year, though, Winnipeg is hosting next year, so they might not do a full rebuild. They might just do a reload. So now that I'm saying that, honestly, he might finish his career with the Bombers.
Good point out, Blake. But Shane, go ahead. What do you think?
So I've been lucky. I've had a couple of conversations with Willie over the last couple of years, and one thing that if you've ever had a conversation with him is he's a family man.
Yes.
His family is his priority over anything else. He lives in Winnipeg full time, if I remember correctly.
Yes,
His
he
family
does.
seems to love it in Winnipeg. I think the question really becomes how much money is he willing to leave on the table to stay in Winnipeg? Because there's no way Winnipeg's going to pay him top dollar for an edge rush next February. But there might be a team out there. I mean, there probably will be a team out there that would give him that top dollar. So I think it honestly comes down to how much money he's willing to leave on the table and how much influence does he weigh his family as, right? If it's like, hey, I want to play. I think like John Bowman was the same situation when he was ending his career with Montreal. It was the same type of he had. It wasn't just the money. It was his family. It was him. It was where he was at his career that kind of influenced that decision. I think Jefferson's in that same boat. I think if the money is okay, if you're looking at high or mid to low six figures, kind of like 125K, he stays. But I don't see him playing anywhere outside of Winnipeg. I think it's Winnipeg or he's coaching with the Blue Bombers. I don't think he's leaving to go play somewhere else.
I worry. Um, just because you love them don't mean they love you back. It's a business at the end of the day. We all know that. You could take the biggest pay cut and they'll still fuck you over. It's Winnipeg. Come on now. Nothing goes through those shit. That them and Calgary are ruthless when it comes and Chris Jones, ruthless when it comes to releasing players. I think what Willie is his family's important. They're up there full time. He wants to end. I think I speaking with him many times. He loves it up there. But I'm afraid that his loyalty and his love is not going to be reciprocated by O'Shea and from the general manager because you see what they did to Jackson. And when I talk with Jackson, to me, I took it as it was kind of a effed up situation the way they did Jackson because that's a guy you want guys like to end up like a Milt Stiegel and are one place forever. Even though Willie came from Sask and Edmonton, all these different places, that's the guy. That him it's gonna come down to him or Zach. Can't nobody else name the backup of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It's Zach Collaros. But with Willie, I'm scared he's expendable and they're gonna let him go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know all the details about the Jackson Jeffcoat situation, but from report, it sounds like Walter just never actually went with him with a proper offer. They're like, you can go to the market, you can see what's up, and let us know. But from my understanding, from everyone I've heard reports from, is that they basically just told him that like what you're asking for, we're not going to
We're
give,
better
and
off
you can
without
just go
you.
test for
Yeah.
agency.
Well,
Yeah, it's like, hey, if you want this type of money,
he had
like you
I
can
think
go test the market.
I think it was he when I interviewed him, he said it was he had a conversation with BC. First of all, Jackson Jeffcoat and BC, that's nasty. But it was BC, Sask, and I think it was Calgary was one of them. And they didn't even really call him. That's why I'm scared for Willie. Like it's a dirty game. You can love it's a business. I could love you forever. We could be together 7-8 years, and all of a sudden you could turn your back on me and say, nah, I want half, and we out of here. So what's the last pick, Cole?
We got Scamilton Tiger Cats going to the Edmonton Elks. I'm gonna go first, boys.
You bet not.
Now, I'm gonna be honest. I've contradicted myself for many weeks for the Edmonton Elks. I have lied for many weeks when I pick Edmonton Elks games. I know, Coach, you're gonna be disappointed. I'm gonna lie once again here on the show. So 2 weeks ago, I said I would never pick the Edmonton Elks once again. Last week, I said I would never pick the Elks or against the Elks on a back-to-back versus Ottawa. I'm gonna pick the Edmonton Elks this week to get their first victory over the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Yes, I said it. I think this is their win. I think this is their week to get lucky, to get a victory. Now, this is I'm curious to see how things go because I jump on the bandwagon as Blake officially in the chat announced himself off the bandwagon earlier in the show. He put in the chat, I am officially giving up on the Edmonton Elks. He put in the chat, we have proof. Now, that being said, Blake, you can lie. I have lied multiple times. That being said, I'm going to Edmonton Elks. I will pass it back to Coach Phil. Who do you got and why?
I'm going last. Go.
Okay, Shane, who do you got and why?
Nah, Blake can go.
Blake, who do you got and why?
Man, why you guys gotta do me like this?
Because it's you, Blake.
I know. This week, I'm going to have to go with the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Fuck you, Blake.
I can't do it anymore. I can't pick the Elks anymore. I think I picked them the first 6 weeks of the season, and they've done me dirty every single week.
But you're gonna go back to her after. Come on, we all.
Man, I hope Hamilton gets blown out just to piss you off.
You guys know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna pick Hamilton this week, and this is the week the Elks are gonna win a darn game.
Dude, they should be 5-1. Like realistically, like they could easily be 5-1.
I know.
So like, it's not like Hamilton has outside of their one win, they were close to like one game, and that was against.
So Mike's allowed me.
But like realistically, Edmonton could have beat Ottawa the last 2 weeks. They
I know.
should have beat us in the first matchup if Beatty just kicked it through the end zone like he did previously in the game. If they didn't crap the bed and forget how to hold to the ball against Saskatchewan, that's a dub. Like the team is so much better than the 0-6 record like indicates. Like,
But it's Edmonton, which is crazy. It's them. It's their curse.
Thank you. It's them. It's Edmonton.
It's insane though. Because I agree.
Or was it Chris Jones? Let's be real, because like,
or is it the name change? It could be the name change.
Don't even start with
here
that
we
BS.
go.
No.
Okay.
No, Cole. Don't start with that.
Okay.
No, I want to hear this. I want to hear this. I'm out of the loop. Cole.
No, I'm not gonna go on the soapbox for the name change. I'm gonna go on the soapbox for the curse, man. I literally think they're cursed because they find ways to lose like I've never seen before in my entire life. This week, I think the curse ends. I think at some point you have to get lucky. I think this is their week, especially like Shane said, right? Edmonton's been competitive in most of their games. Hamilton really has not. Hamilton's coming off the high of getting their first victory, right? Maybe they come in a little bit, looking over the outs like, oh man, we got a first win. We could beat these guys, right? I think this is an opportunity for Edmonton to hang around. Will Levi Mitchell's kind of, I think he's kind of taking care of the ball a little bit better than how he originally started the season, but he's going to put the ball in harm's way. He's going to give his guys opportunities to, come down with the ball. That gives Edmonton's defenders to take the ball away as well. So I think maybe this game comes down to, once again, I'm going to cop out four times again and say this could be another pick'em game. I'm going to go with the Elks. I think Shane and probably Coach are going to go the same. But, Coach, do you want to kind of, piggyback off this anymore?
Anybody else got anything to say?
Shane, you're going Edmonton.
I'm going with the Elks. I can't trust Scott Milanovic. I just don't think he's a good coach. Bo Levi's playing great, but that defense is still atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Edmonton is averaging like 300 plus passing yards a game. Hamilton's defense is horrendous. So, like, I don't know. Everything is pointing towards Edmonton finally getting their win, finally breaking the goose egg, going to 1-6, and still not having a first round pick, which is still wild. Wild.
All right, Coach.
Like, you talk about Chris Jones' blunders of like finding new ways to lose. Why? Like, I will never understand giving up a potential top 2 pick, because, like, let's be honest, they're not going anywhere besides top 2 for a supplementary draft pick who I don't even know when he's expected to play for Edmonton.
Wait, he ain't played?
I don't think so. Maybe I've missed it, but I don't think he's been on the roster. I don't think he was there last week or the last 2 weeks, but maybe I missed it.
What crack
All
is
right.
he smoking?
All right, Coach. Who you got and why? I'm guessing it's Edmonton, but this may be your time to torture the Hamilton fans like you do.
Man, have I ever picked Hamilton for anything? Have I
No.
ever? No, I will never. It's not. They are a walk. I said earlier that Winnipeg was a walking lick. Do you guys know what a lick is?
I don't know. Maybe your definition.
A walking
Phyllis-
lick. A walking lick is somebody that's walking down the street and can be easily robbed. That is what Hamilton is. They are the easiest lick in all of the CFL. I can't stand them. I can't stand the way they walk. I can't stand the way they talk. I can't stand that black. I can't stand that yellow. I can't stand that tiger. I can't stand just the fact that they win one game and everybody thinks, oh, we back in it. We on a move. We on a roll. No.
Because they are.
You got Scott Milanovich as your head coach. Scott fucking Milanovich. Sorry for cussing, but Scott Milanovich. Why? Every time I look at Scott Milanovich, I think of you know what I think of? I think of Oscar Mayer wieners. Just bland. You ever seen an uncooked hot dog? That's what I think of when I think of Scott Milanovich. No flavor, no nothing. You got Bo out there now. Now let me. All jokes aside, let me say this: the players are doing the best they can. They are doing everything. I love the players they got. Casey Sales is working his ass off. JB's running the ball. Bo is trying to hold it together. But I cannot stand Scott Milanovich. I hope Scott Milanovich just drops off the face of the earth as a coach. Not real life, but I'm talking about as a coach. Just drop off the face of the earth coaching. You don't bring anything to the table. You don't bring Hawaiian rolls. You don't bring poutine. You don't bring Hawaiian punch. You don't bring a damn thing to this damn team, man. Come on. What are we talking about here? At least with Chris Jones, they got 4 wins last season. I'll give it to Chris Jones. They got 4, but that was because of Trey. This is the week Edmonton gets it done. Start Trey, get Gino the damn ball, run the ball with Kev Glock. Lou needs to start tackling people instead of trying to shoulder tackle every damn body, and we'd be fine. Edmonton for the win. I don't even like Tigers. I don't even like Tigers. I didn't like Tigger. I didn't like Tigger and Winnie the Pooh.
So I just want to add that the guy they picked, Zach Mathis, the wide receiver, has spent the last 2 weeks after being picked on the 1-game injured list.
I'll be damned.
So you're talking about finding new ways to lose. He was selected on June 29th, and he has spent the last 2 games on the 1-game injured list. And I don't know what to say at this point with Edmonton. It's kind of comical that they.
It is. That's what I said.
Don't get me wrong. Hamilton is Hamilton, and
the scam is real.
I don't understand what's going on with Hamilton. I don't know who's calling the plays. It feels like there might be a power struggle going on between the coaching staff and head office now. By just watching the demeanor. But I agree. I don't know. I've never been. Think about it. Scott Milanovich is directly responsible for Chris Jones ending up in Edmonton again.
What?
Scott Milanovich walked away from the head coaching spot in Edmonton during the COVID canceled year in 2020, which led to Edmonton signing Chris Jones. Because Milanovich walked away from the job to go coach in the XFL that year.
Oh, this made me not like him even more.
So,
you're a quitter.
I don't know. It's like their old OC in Edmonton, who's the former OC in Ottawa, who walked away from Ottawa to go take a job in in the NCAA, I believe. Not even a month before training camp were to begin. But yeah, Milanovich walked away from the job in Edmonton to go coach in the XFL, which led directly to Chris Jones being hired. So, yeah, if you want some connection there is why some people may not like Milanovich. It's because he screwed Edmonton. And you'd want to talk about a curse. It's the Milanovich curse.
To Brian in the chat says, Phil, you need no, ain't never gonna be no chill. I rooted for Scamilton one time and they let me down. One time. Nope, never again. I trust nothing when it comes to the black and yellow.
To be
He
fair, they should
says
go back to yellow and black. That is a hill I'm gonna die on. They need to drop trying to be like all black and just stick with the yellow pants. They need to stop trying to be this cool shit Steelers type stuff.
Yeah.
Just stick with the yellow pants. It goes hard with the black jersey and the white jersey. And drop your stupid gray. You look like you're coming out of a coal mine, and I know that's kind of the point. But like, it looks bad. It doesn't look good. Go back to a yellow jersey.
Wait, what was that Pokemon Brock had? The big not Gyarados. When they wear that Onyx, they look like a bunch of Onyx when they run out there, just a bunch of big rocks.
I don't understand their point of going gray. It's like the second time they've tried doing it. They did it in 2014. It just doesn't look good. Like, I understand Steel Town and whatnot. Just go bring back the yellow jersey and drop the random red that you had in the jersey. Still doesn't make any sense.
Let's cement.
Like, or just go full rebrand and go back to the Wildcats colors and just say screw it and not look like the Stampeders.
All right, boys.
Oh yeah, Phil, if you want to take a look, I think a couple of years, like 2014 or 2015, they had a red and white jersey that looked a lot like the Stampeders' current jersey, in honor of the Hamilton Wildcats.
Hey, Cole, Brian said, you ever see a tiger in Hamilton? Like, bro, what? That's how you end the show, right? That's the comment of the show. Right?
I agree. All right, boys. We had 3 Edmonton Elks and 1 Scamilton by Blake to end things off. Shane, thanks so much for tuning in, joining us for another CFL Quick Picks. Before we let you go, let the people know where they can find your new social media, or your not new social media, your new @ and where they can find you on 13th Man Sports as well.
Yeah, I mean, I changed it up, so it's Shane _ 13th Man, obviously through 13th Man Sports, on Twitter. Mostly love talking football, so I'm excited. I'm glad to be part of the show. Can't wait to be back on next week. You should bring Phil back on because it's a great discussion.
Yeah, maybe we will. Maybe
just do like an hour and a half of this. I think people would love it.
I agree. So, Shane, we'll see you next Wednesday night, my friend.
See ya.
Alrighty, folks. That was Shane Ryan of 13th Man Sports. Blake, quickly before we get out of here, let Coach out of here too. I know he's a busy man. We quickly got to do our BCFC picks. Actually, Coach, if you're busy and want to go, we can send you off now because I know you're probably not too familiar with the BCFC, or you can stay and join us. But Blake and I are going to quickly do our BCFC 3 games. I'm going to go first. I'm going with the Okanagan Sun. I'm going with the West Shore Rebels, and I believe the last game was – one second, Blake. I'm forgetting what the last game of the week was now that we're on air, which is bad, but that's okay.
We live.
Blake.
Sorry, Cole. What were the games again this week?
So the first game is Prince George at West Shore. I have the West Shore Rebels. Who do you got? Prince George or the West Shore Rebels?
I'll take West Shore in that game. I know they had a bit of a.
Shores. I got the next game is the Okanagan Sun traveling to the Vancouver Island Raiders. I have the Okanagan Sun.
I'll take the Sun. Yeah, I'll take the Sun in that one as well.
Okay, and the last game of the week is the Kamloops Broncos traveling to the Valley Huskers.
That's a little bit tougher, but I think I gotta go with our rivals over here as Langley Rams fans, and I'll go with the Huskers for that one.
Yes, I too am going to go with the Valley Huskers. I see my man Wizard Takes putting it in here. Wizard Takes, why don't you reach out to Shane and ask him to start contributing for the website? I would imagine he would be fine with that and would enjoy having some CGFL content on the website. So hit him up. He's on social media. I'd love to do a little bit more content, but just I don't know if I can add any more to my plate throughout the season, especially with U Sports season starting up here in a little bit. And he says Cole isn't loyal to his VI Raiders, which is true, but I have to be a somewhat analyst, or I don't want to lead the people astray. I think the Okanagan Sun are going to win this week. I wouldn't be scared to say that to any of the boys on the team, unfortunately, and hopefully they can prove me wrong. But he also put in the rest of the games, which I appreciate my guy doing. But I think that's going to end the show, Coach. Sounds like the people are enjoying you. Maybe we'll get you back on a weekly basis, maybe every other week or something like that. I know you're a busy guy, so we don't want to stress you too much. But
Nah.
anybody is tuning in,
Y'all, for y'all, anytime.
oh, my man, for anybody that's tuning in and enjoying Coach, like everybody's been putting in the chat, let us know if you guys would like to see Coach on a regular basis, and we can make that happen. But Coach, any final thoughts? Where can the people find your work on all social media and YouTube as well?
You can find me on Instagram at Coach Phil425. My Deep in the Game show, Deep in the Game official. You can find me on YouTube at Coach Phil Reacts. Find me on Twitter, Coach Phil Reacts. We out here, we doing big things, baby. So I'm gonna get up out of here, y'all. I'm gonna go eat dinner. This has been fun.
Awesome, Coach. Thanks so much, and we'll talk next week, my man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Blake, love
What's
you, man.
up, Coach?
Love you,
Love
man.
you too, buddy.
About here.
Later, Coach. Thanks for joining us. Coach Phil stepping in while Blake's a little busy, but as you can see, he can walk and chew gum. He can do multiple things at the same time. Blake, any final thoughts before we get out of here, buddy? I know you're a little bit busy, so you missed a little bit of the show, but I saw you in the chat a little bit earlier.
Yeah, no, it was a good discussion with Coach Phil and Shane with quick picks, of course, and it'll be a little bit of a nice change watching 4 CFL games with no real rooting interest with the Lions on their bye week this week.
And like I said every time, 4 pretty tight games, 4 pretty up in the air games. We're going into the game. Who knows what could happen? So I'm looking forward to sitting back watching some CFL this weekend, especially tomorrow night's game, Friday night's game, Saturday's game. I don't think I'm going to be able to watch too much the Winnipeg Toronto, which is unfortunate. I was looking forward to seeing how Winnipeg was going to respond after their loss to Saskatchewan last week. But I will be at the VI Raiders game on Saturday. So one last reminder to anybody in the BC area or in Canada in general. Actually, I don't think the rest of the country is actually kicked off quite yet. So anybody in the BC area, if you're in Vancouver Island, I believe Victoria or Kamloops this weekend, get out to your local park. I believe it's NDSS Turf Field. The West Shore will be Starlight Stadium, and Kamloops will be Hillside Stadium. If you guys are in the area, get out, take in some CGFL, BCFC action. You won't regret it, and it's a good time. Get in some sun and get out of the house for a little bit. Watch some football. You won't be disappointed. That'll do it for another week of the CFF Weekly Show. Blake and I will see you guys next Wednesday night.